Okay, the next item is another analytics one. Date fields improvements. So there are 3 improvements now to date fields, and this is just the beginning. Currently it's on funds and transactions, but it's going to go across the system everywhere there's a date field. There are several improvements now that make working with dates a lot easier. The first is that date key field supports null values. So up until now, if there was a date field that was empty, it was marked as the default date 1/1/11, right? There's just a junk date that Alma put in there as a placeholder. So now this placeholder is no longer necessary, and the field will just appear as empty if it is null. So the first update is that date keys now support null. The second update is that date keys now have better naming. So for example, previously all the date keys were just called date key, and now they're called date key and the name of, let's say it's the renewal date, so it'll be date key of renewal, or it's the date of a transaction, then it'll be date key of transaction. So the naming of the date key also tells you its context, because previously the field was just called date key, and if it appeared out of context, you had no idea what the date refers to. So we have better and more informative naming of the date keys. And also, in a similar fashion to what we've seen in the PO line dimension, there is logical ordering of these fields. So it's been reorganized a bit, and old fields that are unneeded are now to be deprecated. So here we can see an example of what the old fields look like compared to the modified field. For example, we had a field called month desk. So now it's called transaction date month, telling you that this is the month of a transaction. Month key, transaction date month key. Full month description, transaction date full month. Year, right? If you just saw this word year here, you wouldn't know year of what, right? So now you know, it's the transaction date year. And under date key, we can see that it's now called transaction date, and it also handles null values. So let's go into Alma and take a look at this. Let's make a new analysis on funds expenditure. And let's look at transaction dates. So you can see the new names now: transaction date month key, transaction date month, transaction date fiscal year. And if we wanted to see what a null value looks like, it used to be there used to be the placeholder date of 1/1/11. Let's see if I can find the null date somewhere. Line creation date, renewal date. This one might have a null date. Let's take a look at this in results. Great. So we have an example here of renewal dates, and one of these PO lines does not have a renewal date, and therefore we have here an empty field. This is how Alma now handles null values. Previously, you would see here a placeholder date of 1/1/11, and now the null value just appears as an empty field. So that's another improvement to Alma Analytics for the July release, improvements to date key field.